All right, so the order is, and we want to thank Danya for helping with the registration. She's having you fill out the papers so that you can, she'll pick it up and then you can we'll pick through that for picking the door prizes, giveaways. We have a few. And then the order is going to be, we're going to have Steve be the first one to show how to do his chili. We're going to have Debbie, well, that'll be after, Debbie will have a short introduction after I finish, and then Steve, and then Debbie will do a demonstration. This is not going to be demonstrated, this is the taco salad. And you just want to see how pretty it looks so that when you see the recipe, you can imagine what your final product is going to look like. And so we're not going to demonstrate it because we want you all to be able to go to the concert tonight if you had planned to go. And then our last treat is going to be Dylan Birch. He's going to demonstrate how to make the pina colada. And I am really excited about all of these things that we're going to be able to taste today. So give us our beginning comments, Debbie. Debbie Combs has been doing health education for years. God put it on her heart, and we're very blessed to have her. One quick thing I forgot to say is the reason you have these cards is because you can put your sign up on Facebook with the site, and there's more inspirations and more recipes that show up on a regular basis on this site.
Good afternoon. I'm going to do a short devotional here. In 1 Corinthians 6:13, and this is from the New King James Bible, not the old King James Bible, because I read the verse and I went, are you kidding me? Talking about destroying or something. Anyway, so this is New King James. It says, food is meant for the stomach and the stomach for food. We are very aware of the definite close relationship between food and our stomach. How many times have we eaten something and said, oh, I don't think I should have ate that. I don't feel so good. Or you eat something and you feel better. At least 2 or 3 times a day we're eating. Some people do 2 meals a day, some people do 3. I always thought 2 meals a day was something that, who would want to do that? I'm always hungry. But as you get older, you find out 2 meals a day is not so bad. It's actually better for you and digestion. We always remember there's a gnawing in our stomach. That's how we know we're hungry. To be eating constantly or to be eating in between meals, we're not supposed to do that. And I heard this years ago when I was a teenager, and a person was doing a cooking school. And they said when you're eating in between meals, by the time you get to your 40s, you've got a digestive system of about a 90-year-old. And I went, really? I never thought of it that way, because as teenagers, we're always eating, eating chips, and eating this, eating that, you know. So anyways, we need to be a little bit more aware of what we're eating and when we're eating it, and trying to stay on a schedule. Our bodies are meant to be on a schedule. The body is not meant for immortality, but for the Lord, and the Lord for the body. Do we realize the closeness of our spiritual needs as readily as we do for physical food? And that's very true. When we eat a decent diet, a better diet, a good diet, we have a closer relationship with God, and we're not having to suffer through sickness or anything. And I used to work in the hospital as a nurse's aide, and I'd walk up and down the floors. I worked on med surg, and I'm telling you, some of those patients would come in and they've got 3, 4 different things. One guy had 50 different medications, another one had 20. Thinking, why are they living like this? And I started asking them just as curiosity. I didn't let them know what I was doing. I wanted to know what their diets were like, and it was atrocious, some of the things they were eating, and they weren't eating a clean diet. And as long as you're eating a clean diet, you're not going to have the diseases and all the problems that a lot of people have. So what's a clean diet? And the clean diet comes down to stay away from your preservatives or your snack foods. Hans Deal always said, if it sounds like this, and he took a potato chip bag and he wrinkled it. And he said, if your food sounds like this, it's not food. And you should stay away from that. And Hans Deal was he was a doctor, Dr. Hans Deal, was very intuitive about a clean diet and was always talking about the clean diet. But we also need to know we have a spiritual diet, and that's spending time with God. We need to be praying in the morning. Mrs. White tells us before our feet even hit the floor, we should be praying that God will be with us throughout the day. Take him with you into the kitchen when you get your breakfast. And then have your prayer and study time. And then for every meal, we need to pray over that and tell the Lord, thank you. And some kids will look at me and say, why do we have to say thank you all the time? And I said, well, look at it this way. Have you ever been with your parents, or you're just out playing or whatever, and you get hungry and it's lunchtime, and you didn't come home for lunch on time, and you're really starving by the you get home? You're really wanting that food. Be thankful that you've got it, because some kids don't get that much of a food diet. You know, they don't get to eat all the time. So that's something to be thankful for. And then we have our dinner, and we always need to make sure that we eat at least 4 hours before going to bed. It takes a good 4 hours for your food to digest if you're eating at night. So it's something to always remember. Anyway, shall we bow our heads and have prayer? Thank you, Lord, for bringing us together. Thank you for allowing us to learn more about you and about the foods you've given us. We pray, Lord, that you will open our minds and our ears and our eyes and help us to absorb all you want us to hear. May you speak through us, Lord, not our words but yours, so that you can lead these people to your glory. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, Stephen's up. This is your tray.
All right, get this up here. We want to do some chili. Chili is the cowboy thing. So you don't have to have the hat, but it helps. Now, this is a dish so simple that even a guy can do it, and so I'm here to prove that. Now, it is said that it originates down in Central America and Mexico, where chili peppers naturally grow, and they have a variety of them, and they can make all kind of different chilies. Well, we don't have them growing, but we do have chili powder. Now, we have with us the type of things that every wagon train should have on hand: some canned diced tomatoes. I like 2 large cans of canned diced tomatoes and 2 medium-sized cans of tomato sauce. Now, some cooks, I won't mention Debbie's name here, say that you need some water. And I say, if when I get done mixing it up and it's cooked a little while, if I can't stand the spoon up in it and have it stand there and stay, then it's soup. So what I have here is 1 entire bell pepper cut into small parts. Yep. And I have 3 carrots sliced. She would grate them. I would go, nah, on the wagon train. We cut them. And we have here some celery, also chopped up nicely. You know, nobody brought me my spoon to mix this with. I've got 2 tablespoons of chili powder. This is a mild chili powder. It is the fact that some of us, we know, love, oh, I can just barely stand it, it's so hot. Not good for the innards. Not a good thing. Thank you, miss. It's it's fun to have a little bit of heat, but all things in moderation, shall we say. We've got a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. And we have a teaspoon of cumin. And a little bit of salt. I put in a tablespoon there. I'm going to leave part of it out. Now, some people can do more salt than others. That's all right. You can leave it out if you're of the type that I can't have salt. And a bit of basil, a teaspoon of basil here. Now, get over here. Now, if I mix that up, and you may have to come over and have a look since I wasn't able to get my upper camera into a TV screen looking here. It almost stands up. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to cook it on the stove on a kind of a medium heat and stir it up quite often. And as it's been there maybe a half an hour, the vegetables are getting like you like them, we can add in, where'd my beans go? Chili beans, pinto beans, kidney beans, chili beans, all kind of the same mix. 2 cans this size of beans. We rinse them off first because they kind of wet and all the water on it. And when they go in, a can of pinto beans. I use 2 cans in this. And this gets pretty hearty. And by that time, yes, you can stand the spoon up in it and finish cooking it. Now, it is the case that all of these ingredients are perfectly safe to eat. Oh, you know what? This is a little bit of onion. Now, I'm not too much on onion, but we do throw in a little bit. I forgot to put it that time. So we'll mix that up. They are all safe to eat, so how long you cook it really doesn't matter. It's kind of like cook it to taste. Cook it so you that like the texture, and do it. And if you're of the type that can eat those vegetarian hot dogs, slice those and put them on toast, and put some of this, oh yes, and maybe some cheese on top or some fake cheese or who knows, whatever is your. Anyway, we have some that I made already, so we don't have to wait for this to cook. It's going to be in the samples. You can give it a try. Tell us what you think. That's what I got. All right. I'll take this away.
This is on enchiladas. And last time I had made tamale pie, which is very much like enchiladas, only it's made just a little different. And I talked about the taco burger that I used. And I said, if you go to the website, you can find out how to make taco burger. I don't know how many did that, so I'm going to show it now. Okay, I have 2 cups of TVP. Now, to show you what TVP looks like. I buy this at Winco. You can get it online on Amazon. You can get it at Lassen's. Whoops. And you can see it's just a soy product, and it's dehydrated, and then you just reconstitute it with water. That's all. If anybody wants to come see it, here it is up here. Anyways. So I have 2 cups of TBP. I never can tell. The markings moved off. Oh, there it is. All right, and I'm going to add 2.5 cups of water. Now, if you want to make a spaghetti sauce and you want burger in it, add sage. That's an American type herb, and use sage and it works. If you want to make something like a taco burger, use cumin instead of the sage. Works the same way, and you can make it more into that. On the website, I give 2 different recipes for taco burger, ones with lemon juice in it. If you like a little bit more tart, sometimes your Mexican restaurants will use a tart like burger because they use the lime or lemon, and you can make it that way too. It's on the website with the church. And you go down, it's on practical vegetarian cooking. We have one underneath that, and that's the cooking classes. The cooking classes are what we're doing now. And the other one was what I had done before on my own. Anyways, so I'm using about a teaspoon of salt and 2 teaspoons of Bill's beef, or I get mine from Azure Standard under a different name. It's just called Azure Standard, which is a food co-op that it's here it's throughout the United States. They go clear down to the Caribbean and Hawaii, and you name it, they're there. And you just order once a month and they bring it to you. This one is very much like Bill's beef. And then I'm using some onion powder. On the recipe, it doesn't say onion powder. You can use it if you want, you don't have to. And then I'm using the cumin, which was 2 teaspoons of cumin, 2 teaspoons of salt. And then I have kitchen bouquet here. Now this, I used to eat meat when I was younger, and I lived at home, and make roasts all the time for my dad, and he liked all the vegetables in there and everything. And after you get done with the vegetables cooking, you take the roast out. You've got this carameling kind of thing going on with the vegetables. It cooks it down. Well, it's the same thing that Kitchen Bouquet is, only it's vegan. They didn't use meat. And they just cook them down into a caramelized, and you can use that for a flavoring. And it really comes out nice. It's not burnt, but it is a carameling. Now, you'll find this in the grocery store in the aisle where you find A1 sauce, that kind of thing. It's up on the top shelf. Some places don't carry it, some places do. You have to kind of look for it. And it's called Kitchen Bouquet, and I'm going to use about 2 teaspoons. Guesstimation. It's a coloring, and it's also a flavoring. Now to that, I will be adding a can of tomato sauce, and I think mine got mixed up with something. I don't know what happened to it. It's just a small can of tomato sauce. Is it on the far end? Yeah, it's on. Yeah, they're mine, but they're not in there. The food stuff isn't in there. That's my embroidery. Okay, I don't know what happened to it. But I always add a can of tomato sauce. The tomato sauce brings out the flavor. So without it, it tastes very bland, the TVP does. But when you put the tomato sauce in there with all the herbs, it tastes like a burger kind of thing. So anyways, we can move on. You're not going to be eating these. I have them in the oven. And so you'll be eating those. And they're better. Okay. You want to simmer this over the heat for at least, I don't know, until it's not so runny. All the water has soaked up. And then you want to use your corn tortillas. Now, I looked it up as to why you have to fry the corn tortillas. A lot of our foods are fried, and we're wondering, is that really all that good for us? And when I was reading about it, it said it's a good idea to fry the tortillas, not steam them, because I was going to try steaming them. I was always raised making them as frying when I was a kid, because we used to eat this. When my dad became an Adventist, I was about 12, and he became an Adventist, and he found out he couldn't eat pork anymore. Found that upsetting. So we would have turkey for Thanksgiving. And then we had turkey for Christmas, and he didn't like it. It was too much turkey, and too close. So he decided we were going to have enchiladas for Christmas. So every year after that, we had enchiladas for Christmas. And so we always made pans and pans of enchiladas for the neighbors and us. And at 4th of July, we'd make enchiladas again. He loved enchiladas. So we'd always make enchiladas. Anyways, so I grew up making this dish, and this is not going to work. It won't stay. Anyway, so you have to fry the corn tortillas. The reason for it is because the corn tortillas will soak up too much of the sauce that we put on top, and that sauce, you don't want it to soak it all up, so you want to fry it, and it makes a barrier. Anyway, so I fried these up ahead of time in some olive oil, and you don't want to fry them till they're crispy or crunchy. You just want to make them just to where they're pliable. And I'll put this out here. All right. So we're going to just go ahead and use this. It's not completely cooked, but it is hot. And you just want to make it like you would a taco. Now, the one thing I did with my corn tortilla I probably shouldn't have done was I put them in the freezer, because it seems like we go through them so quickly sometimes. And I put them up in the freezer. So when I take them out of the freezer and I'm using them, I'm trying to make some enchiladas, and they're falling apart in my hand. I'm like, what happened? And I realized it's because we don't have those freezers you have to chip the ice from anymore, so it doesn't hold the moisture like it should in the food. Dries it out. So yeah. So if these fall apart, that's what's going on. Anyway, so then we just use a little bit of onion, and you can use some olives if you like olives. You can slice them or just use them whole. My husband says leave them whole because he doesn't like olives. That way he can pick them out. And then I use a little bit of cheese. I get my cheese in bulk. It's a vegan cheese. It's Follow Your Heart. And I get it from Azure, so I get it in bulk. And so I have them broken down into bags to use. Anyways, then I just roll it up, and they're falling apart, and put it right into the pan, like that. And that one's pretty bad. Could somebody please go get the enchiladas for me out of the oven? One of the ladies. Can you get the enchiladas out of the oven and bring them out here? You just set them on the table. They're not hot, they're just really warm. This is what they look like afterwards. You can take your enchiladas, roll them up like tacos, and then you put your salsa over it, and then sprinkle some cheese on top and put them in the oven for 30 minutes or so, just till they're hot. That's all you need. And each one of you will be getting some of that to eat. So anyways, that's how we make enchiladas. Yeah, you can just take this back. Yeah. Now the taco salad, I wanted to talk about that a minute. Bring that back for a minute. Let me talk about this taco salad. When I was, many years ago, my children were young, we went down to the Palisade Church in Palisades. It's on the peninsula of California. If you've never been there, you need to go. It is the most beautiful place to go to. And it overlooks the ocean, and you know how back east they have a lot of those beaches that go right down into the water. The tide hasn't came up, for a while or whatever. It's the way that the Palisades Church on the backside looks. So anyways, they served a taco salad. I had to get the recipe, and when I got the recipe, I brought it home. We've loved it ever since. So this is how you do it. It's a layered salad. Now, my husband makes it for himself on a plate. He says, I eat sandwiches all week. I'm going to eat my taco salad every day on the weekend. So he does. That's his weekend lunch. And when you make your taco salad, which I don't have here right now. Where'd that recipe go? They serve a lot of these sometimes at the potlucks. I'm sure most of you have probably had a taco salad at potluck, or haystacks as they call them. You can make your own as you go through line. Anyway, so what we did is we started with tortilla chips on the bottom. When you do that, you don't have to put tortilla chips only on the bottom. You can put it throughout each layer, but we made it on the bottom. And then we did our refried beans, our burger, and salsa, and we put that on there. And then we do the lettuce, the garbanzo, and kidney beans, tomatoes, onions, and black olives, because it's like a salad. And then we put our wishbone dressing on it. So that's what we have here. And it looks so pretty with all the different layers in a glass bowl.
And the burger was prepared by package instructions.
Oh, she did have the burger, and it was a package instructions. Yeah, I know. You had it, but I don't know what happened to it. Anyways, this is the Gardein burger. It's, I believe it's gluten-free, is it? The Gardein burger is gluten-free or not? Just vegan?
I don't remember, yeah.
It's a vegan burger, though, and that's what we use. You could use the taco burger if you wanted to, and just put the cumin in it, and then you could have it for the taco salad. That's what I always do at home. But if you want to do Gardein, you can do that one, or whatever ones you like. Okay, so we have some door prizes here that we would like to do. You want to do the book too? So how are we going to pick those?
Well, Danye has the papers, and we'll just pick
Shuffle
from
them?
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has everybody handed in their paper? Okay, so first off, we have Bob's Red Mill egg replacer, and I had mentioned this before. If you make cakes and cookies and what else? anything you add eggs to, pretty much, you can use the egg replacer. Eggs are expensive, and they're an animal product, and we don't need them in our diet. They are an animal product. Eggs are not what they used to be. They now take the eggs from chickens that are kept in little small cages. They use them for about a year or 2 years, and then they're killed. They're not getting exercise, they're not getting sunlight, they're not getting the proper foods that we would give them if we raised them ourselves. Now, raising them yourself, yeah, you can do that, but the problem is it's still an animal byproduct, and you don't really want animal foods in your diet. We're trying to stay away from that. Ellen White tells us we should not be eating eggs. Eggs, when they were first, and Ellen White was in her age, they were good for drawing out poisons out of the body. They're good for that. But as now that we're feeding our chickens preservatives and additives in their chicken feed, even if you get an organic feed, it's going to have those things in it. Why? Because mice and rats like to live where food is, in your barnyards or wherever. So you really don't want to have that kind of thing in your diet. So eggs are not a good thing for us to be eating, but we need that in our diet and our foods to be able to keep things together, hold it together. And that's where Bob's Rag Mill Egg Replacer comes in at. So it's 2 tablespoons of this to 2 tablespoons of water. I believe it is, or 1 to 1, I can't remember. Anyways, directions are on here. And it was what, $4.86 I think it was for a bag. And it's, how many eggs are in here? 34 eggs. So that's a whole lot cheaper than buying a dozen of eggs. You can pay, what, $8 to $10 for a dozen eggs sometimes. So you have to be kind of careful on that one. Anyway, so it's good for that. So we're going to give this one away too.
That's right. Eggs are also connected to diabetes. It really, anybody who's trying to avoid diabetes, you want to stay away from eggs for that reason as well. My family, my parents, for a period of time, were raising the chickens that lay eggs. They go into these big farms, big barns, 23,000 in one barn. Needless to say, people who raise these animals, they're not eating them. They're not eating the eggs. They're not eating the meat. They're not drinking the milk because they know what goes into the whole process. Okay, so for this, it's going to be, it is Mrs. Cornforth.
Okay, next we have brown flaxseed. Now flaxseed comes in brown and it comes in golden. The golden you use for making breads like muffins and things like that, because if you put the brown in, it turns the bread green. I didn't know that. I found it out before I used it. So I went to the store and got golden. But this is brown flaxseed. Now you can take the flaxseed, it has your omega-3s in it. We don't get enough omega-3 oils. We don't have them in our foods. It's usually omega-6 that they have. In any of your processed foods or cereals, things like that you get at the store. So this is a raw flaxseed. It's just, and you can use flaxseed cooking it. It will not deplete the nutrients in it. It holds the nutrients. I went to Bed Bath & Beyond years ago. Now you could go to Amazon. You could go to, I think Bed Bath & Beyond's on internet now or something, or Walmart. You can find a coffee grinder, and I was going to bring mine, I forgot, but they're just a small little thing. And you put in a couple of tablespoons and it whizzes around and chops it right up to just a fine powder. You can use the flaxseed in oatmeal. Sprinkle it on your oatmeal. Sprinkle it on a smoothie. You can sprinkle it on, a tablespoon a day is good. If you did 2 tablespoons, it'd be fine. You cannot overdose on this. But it gives kind of a nutty, earthy taste to it. So it's something you may have to work your palate to, but let me tell you this. You have something you don't like, something that you are required to eat at home or someone makes for you, whatever, and you don't like it, it only takes 2 weeks to change your taste buds. Do you know why? It's in the brain, and the brain can work it out. So you just keep eating it. So if you don't like broccoli, or kids doesn't like broccoli, make them eat it every day, and eventually in 2 weeks' time, they're going to go, oh, it's not so bad, and they'll be eating their broccoli more. So there's a tip. Anyways, this is flaxseed. You can use it like this, or you can use it and make it into, chopped up in the food grinder. So it's up to you. So flaxseed.
It's a good way to get good oils and help our skin be more hydrated, help our eyes be less dry. And the person getting this is Angel Flores.
Oh, let me tell you about egg whites. Yes, go right ahead. You can take this if you like. Go ahead. You can use this for like eggs if you want to. There's a couple of ways to do that. One is you can grind it up and mix a little bit of water with it. So like if you use a tablespoon of it ground, you want to use maybe a tablespoon and a half, maybe 2, and you put it in a little dish, just a small dish, and just stir it up and let it sit for about 2 or 3 minutes, and it will thicken up. And you can use that as an egg replacer. The other way to do it is, and I did this many times before I knew that, that's the easy way. If you don't mind having it brown or whatever that's going into, so if you're making a loaf and you want to put that into it with the egg, with the flaxseed in it, that's the way of doing it. Now if you're making a cake or something and you want to use flax, you can do that. And you take the flax, 2 tablespoons to about a half a cup of water, put it in a small pan, put it on the stove, and you just want to bring it to a very small boil. So it's not a full boil, just a simmer. And you want to cook it for about 15 to 20 minutes. And you can literally see it within a few minutes. Take a spoon and do this, and you'll see it just like egg whites do, you know how they stream. It will do the same thing. And you can use the flax in that way to make an egg white. It will not keep in the refrigerator very long. You can maybe make it 3 days if you're lucky, sometimes 2 if it turns color. Don't use it. But I used to, when I used it for cakes or anything, or breads, muffins, things like that, I would make the flaxseed and cook it that way, and then if I had a little extra, I'd put it in the refrigerator and use it the next day. So that's a good way of doing it. Okay, so our next one is, it says brewer's yeast. It's nutritional yeast. The old name is brewer's yeast. I used to do it all the time, and I'm trying to correct myself. It's nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is full of amino acids. Now, with my birth defect, I have digestion problems. And my digestion is not good. I mean, it's just not there. And I've tried every kind of enzyme you can imagine, and it's still not helping a lot. A little bit, but not much. And I was praying about it, and one day God told me, he said, Debbie, you could use the nutritional yeast, and it would help with your digestion. Well, duh, why didn't I think of that? Because it's full of amino acids. Amino acids is what you need to break down the proteins in your food. So I make tofu eggs every morning because I am a vegan, and I make our tofu eggs. And if you want to know how to do tofu eggs, they're on my site. It's called Practical Vegetarian Cooking. You can get it from the church website or go to YouTube and put in Practical Vegetarian Cooking. You'll find me on there. And I made tofu eggs there. Anyways, and I take the brewer's yeast, nutritional yeast, after they're all done, and I'll just sprinkle it on there. Now, you should only have about 2 tablespoons a day. I found out it'll make you sick if you have more than that. It has a cheesy flavor to it. And it's good we make a cashew gravy, that's also on the website, and we use the nutritional yeast on the gravy, and it brings out a nice flavor to it. But anyways, the nutritional yeast is full of amino acids. It's good for you. There's nothing wrong about it. So it's not a yeast that's going to grow in your body. Don't think of it that way. Even though it's grown on soybeans, it is not going to grow in your system. So don't think of it that way. I know I've heard people say, oh no, it's a yeast and I can't have yeast. Well, so can a lot of other people. But it's not that way. So it is a good thing to eat. Go ahead.
All right. Plus you get your B12 from it.
Yes, you do.
Mm-hmm. Sharon Simmons.
Now you can buy nutritional yeast at Lassen's. You can get it on Amazon, you can get it on online, wherever you want to go to. They have nutritional yeast, you can find it. Okay, the next one is Vegan at Times. This is by Jerry Seinfeld's wife. Anybody knows who Jerry Seinfeld is? And it's all vegetarian or just...
It is.
Or all vegetarian.
Yeah.
Is it vegan or just vegetarian?
Vegan.
Okay, this is all vegan book. And it's really pretty. I mean, it has some nice pictures in it. So, anything you want to say?
The carrot cake in there is really good.
Okay,
All
this
right.
is going to?
Next for this book is Marie Jordan. If it's a book that you want to get, they carry it at Target.
Hi. Hello, my name is Dylan, and I'm going to demonstrate the healthy pina colada that is on the recipes. So the recipe starts out with frozen pineapple chunks. If you want to make, however much you want to make, just fill to whatever line you want. For this, I'm going to do 48 ounces. So I'm going to just fill the container until, frozen pineapple chunks. I think I put too much, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter how much you put. Once you shake it down and you can see the line, you're fine. And then I have, this is pineapple juice concentrate. There's no sugar added to this. This is just straight pineapple juice. You don't have to add that much. It just adds a little bit more sweetness and helps with the color later on. So I'm just gonna go until I feel like I want to stop, and that should be pretty good. And then no matter what size you want to do, you just get your coconut oil and about a good spoon of it. It doesn't really matter the size of how much you're making. You can put more, you can put less if you want. It can leave a little bit of a film in your mouth. So I don't like putting too much, so I'm just gonna do this, like that. And it's better to have it slightly like melted so it's malleable. And then it is pretty simple. The next step is just however much of pineapple you did, fill half of that with coconut milk and the other half with coconut water. That should be good about there. And you don't want it to be too liquidy, so you just leave a little bit of the pineapple sticking out of the top. And then you're ready to blend, and then you blend until smooth. And that should be good. And then you have a nice soft pina colada. And I'll get samples for everyone. Oh, I work at Nature's Food Market on 8th Street in downtown. The owners are from Central Adventist Church, and they're Wendy and Chuck Noss, and their whole store is vegan, gluten-free, vegetarian, including ingredients like what is in most of the stuff that you've seen here being made. And we have a juice bar that makes healthy juices, smoothies, shakes, and shots. And we do fresh food every day, everything from potato salad to sandwiches, salads, guac, even fresh desserts. Yeah, they are good. I am constantly eating while I'm at work, so that's that's pretty good.
Now, while you're enjoying your eating, I'm going to talk just a little bit about sleep. So many people have told me how they can't get enough sleep or they can't stay asleep. So how many people here have problems sleeping, or just once in a while you can't sleep? Sleep is something we need at least 8 hours a day. They say as we get older, we're lucky if we get 6 to 8 hours, depending on what our activity level is. And I have found out with my birth defect, if I don't get up and move around, I'm not sleeping that night. So I have to get up and move around quite a bit. Lack of exercise, lack of sunlight, and lack of a good diet will bring on sleep patterns that are not good for us. Then we need to be able to have those in our diet and in our lives. So we need exercise. Walking is one of the best exercises there are. You don't have to get on a treadmill or anything unless you want to, but just walk down the street. We live on a street now, we just moved there last August. There's no one across the street except one person. That's it. And people from all of Bear Valley seem to walk up our street and then all the way back down with their dogs every day. I hope they're not leaving their dog gifts around. But anyways, and I see a lot of people walking up and down, and they're walking every day. And those people, some of them get out and run, but usually they're just walking. Walking is one of the best exercises. You don't have to do the toe touches and the stretches and all that unless you want to. But it is good for us to exercise. Our bodies are a machine, and they need to be maintained and taken care of like a machine is. And you want to oil it, so you want to make sure it has good oil or gasoline or whatever it needs to make it run. It's the same with our bodies, the same way. We need to be able to get out, exercise, move it around, and eating a good diet. And we should exercise for at least 30 minutes a day, at least. Now, some people will say, well, I can only get in 3 days a week. 3 days a week's better than nothing at all. We need to get up and move around. Sunshine should be between 6 and 7 o'clock. If you can get out between 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning to get the sunshine on you, you're going to be making melatonin. You have the serotonin in your brain, you have melatonin, and the two work together, and that gives you a sleep sedative, more or less, for a lack of a better term. It's something that will work in your body. Your body does this on its own. God made us wonderfully made, and it brings on a sleep pattern for us. Exposing ourselves in the morning like that sets our circadian rhythms. We've all heard about the circadian rhythms in animals and in people too. So it is something that we need to do for our own bodies. Stop all the blue lights. What makes blue light? I had no idea what this was about, but I noticed if I was on the computer late at night, I didn't go to sleep very well that night. Well, there's a blue light. We don't recognize it. We don't even register it as being a blue light. But there is a blue light hue that comes off of it. And off the computers, telephones, and TVs, anything electronic like that, that you're using your eyes for, you're going to be seeing that blue light, and it's registering in your body, in your brain. And that will keep you from going to sleep at a normal hour like you should be. We should all be getting at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night. If you can get 8, that's great. Especially if you're working. If you're working a taxing job, kind of either you're digging ditches like husbands will do, or wives even. But if you're digging ditches or you're sitting in front of a computer all day, you need at least 8 hours of sleep a day, because we're using our brains. And Ellen White talks about this. Someone who uses their brain, like engineers, and they're on the computer, is as much taxing to their body as it is if you're out there digging ditches. It's the same kind of thing. So you need a good diet to be able to carry your body through. When you do a good diet and you do take care of your body the way you should, you will live longer and without disease and problems. So that's something to consider if you don't want to have diseases and other problems. Caffeine will keep you from sleeping. And when I was young, dumb, and stupid, before I knew anything and grew up to have a little bit more knowledge, I used to eat M&Ms and chocolate and whatnot, and couldn't figure out why I didn't get to sleep that night. And then I found out about caffeine and started changing things. And believe me, it does make a big difference. Even decaf. Now, a lot of people will say, well, I drink decaf in the evening. Don't drink decaf. Don't do it. Decaf coffee has formaldehyde in it. Does anyone know what that's used for? It's an embalming fluid. Embalming fluid is used for people when they die and they have the funeral. Okay, so did you know that if you were to go on to Google, you can find this. I've seen documentaries on this on Nat Geo, that American people who are eating the American diet and eating caffeine and all the other stuff, their bodies do not deteriorate as fast as somebody from an island country, such as the Samoan Islands, the Canary Islands, where the Caribbeans, because they're not getting all of the preservatives and the additives in their foods. So if you want to have a better life and a better body and not have all the problems, eat a cleaner diet. And then you won't have to worry about that. Decaf is not good for us. It is a killer. Don't eat too late at night. Like I said before, we need at least 4 hours before we go to bed to let our food digest. Now, if you're not a vegetarian and you're eating meat and you're eating cheese, it takes 12 hours to digest meat and 12 hours to digest cheese. Now, I knew a lady, she was an Adventist, but she was not keeping the diet, and she used to live in Tehachapi. She was an old friend of our family's, and she was Spanish, and she ate a lot of cheese. And then one day, she was about 56 years old, too young to end her life, started having all kinds of stomach problems, didn't know what the problem was, went to the hospital, went to the doctors. They finally said, we don't know what it is, we're going to find out. And they opened her up, and she was full of cancer. They just closed her up. And she came out of surgery, and the doctor said, what's your diet like? And then she told him. She ate a lot of cheese, she ate a lot of meat, she was Spanish, they ate a lot of Spanish foods and things like that. And of course they ate all the different things her family did, and she did too, part of it. And the doctor said, that's what's killing you, your diet. And the one thing she said to me, Debbie, I'm so sorry, I should have listened to you, that I should never have eaten cheese. I told her, don't eat cheese, Maria, please, don't eat the cheese. And she did. And she kept eating it for years, and it caused her cancer before she died. And she died about 2 weeks later. We want to make sure we eat early enough, so don't be eating foods late at night. And I know there's a lot of people that like to have a piece of pie after dinner. That's fine, do that, but make sure your dinner's a little bit earlier so that if you want to eat your pie at night, you can do that. But try not to make it at least that 4-hour period in there to give your body time to digest. Having a prayer life with Bible study each day and staying in tune with God will help you sleep. Now, I know this for a fact. And as mothers, we all do this, and dads too. The kids, you get out there, you're playing with them and everything, you forget whatever. If you're not on a regular schedule of having your study time or whatever, you think, oh, I'll do it later. I've done it many times. And I go to bed at night and I think, oh, I didn't study my Bible today. Oh, I'll be fine. I'll just say prayer. I lay there for 2 hours and I can't get to sleep. I'm like, what is wrong with me? And God showed me, Debbie, get up and study your Bible. And I did. And I realized then it's time to get myself on a schedule. So I did. I put myself on a schedule. Do I have time for my prayer life and my study time during the day? So I'm not rushing so I can get to bed or anything. I have my own time. And I usually do that early in the morning. And then in the late afternoon, or if I'm sitting there eating dinner, Sometimes I'll be reading my Bible on my phone or something. But we need to remember to always carry God with us. And like I said before our feet even hit the floor, Ellen White tells us we should be praying and asking God to go with us today and be with us and guide us so that we carry him with us all day long. And I've told this in my Pathfinders. The Pathfinders, I told them we need to be doing our morning watch. That's what they used to call it, was morning watch. And it's a morning time of prayer and learning a Bible verse. And the kids would sit there and they said, but I don't have time in the morning. I'm going to school and there's not enough time. And my mom's yelling at me to get out the door. I'm going to be late for school. I said, okay. So I got all the kids together and I said, all right, everybody sit down. Get your Bibles. They got their Bibles. I had them bring their own Bibles, so it'd be easier for them to, work with it, not a new Bible or anything like that. And then I had someone with a stopwatch, and I said, okay, we're going to do this verse. And I'd tell them the verse, and I said, on your mark, I want you to look this up when I say go. On your mark, get set, go. Okay, they look it up, and it took less than 15, 20 seconds for them to find it. Okay, now, then I said, I want you to read the verse. And I'm going to have one person read it. I want everyone else to follow it. And I did that. On your mark, get set, go. He read the verse. I said, don't read it fast, just read it calmly. So he read the verse. I said, stop. Now, I want you to say prayer. And I had one of the kids say prayer. And I said, on your mark, get set, go. And he prayed. And then I said, now, what does the stopwatch say? And the kids couldn't believe it. It was 2 minutes. I said, who doesn't have 2 minutes in the morning to be able to learn your Bible verse or to read a Bible verse and to have prayer with God? Who doesn't have 2 minutes? And it's the same with us. If we don't have time for study, at least do that much. One day I went shopping and I had forgotten to do everything, got rushed, didn't think about it. And I went shopping, and 5 times that day, this was just a few years ago, 5 times I was almost hit and in a real bad car accident. I was like, Lord, what's going on? And he said, Debbie, did you take me with you today? And I went, oh, I forgot. And I realized I hadn't done anything. I said, I'm so sorry, Lord. I made sure that never happens again every time I get in that car. If I haven't studied my lesson, I'm back in the house studying my lesson until I'm done and I've read and I've prayed, and then I'll leave and go in the car. Take God with you. He's there to protect you for a reason. I know with myself, being on crutches and whatnot, I get up in the night sometimes to go to the bathroom. I'm a little wobbly at night, like we all are. And my cousin is worse off than I am, and she has double compound club feet, where the feet were completely backwards, and she's had like 40 surgeries to straighten her feet out, and she still doesn't walk well. It's part of this birth defect. Luckily, I didn't get that. Anyways, she showed me a picture of herself the other day, and she says, this is me. She said, my hair's fallen out because she doesn't follow a good diet, and she said, I'm bruised up because I keep falling. And I'm thinking, well, why aren't you praying about it, asking God to take care of you? And I was thinking about that, and God told me, he said, Debbie, pray for me, pray to me every time you get up to go to the bathroom or whatever you have to do in the middle of the night. Pray and ask me to go with you, to protect you. And I do. So when I get up, I'm a little wobbly. I say, Lord, please be with me and keep me safe. And then I go off to the bathroom, I come back, I get back into bed, and I'm sound asleep. So it does make a difference. Now, another thing I do is for sleep, and I think you have it on your notes there. It says, I drink alfalfa tea about 20 minutes before bed. Now, alfalfa tea made, like Pastor Petch always said, it tasted like boiled socks. I don't know what boiled socks taste like. I've never tried it, but that's what he said. But anyways, he didn't like it. But I make alfalfa tea, and I buy it from a tea company. It's an herb tea, and it's made from alfalfa. Alfalfa is the only tea that has all the nutrients and vitamins in it. Nothing to hurt you, and it does not interfere with any medications, as from what I've read. Just make sure you ask your doctor first. When I do that about 20 minutes before I get ready for bed, and then I go in, I say my prayers, I do my whole routine of going to bed at night, getting dressed and all, and then the alfalfa tea works with the blood sugar and the hormones. It keeps the melatonin and the serotonin in your body, and that way it just, you know, when you're balanced, and you take something like alfalfa tea or something with a lot of nutrients, it's not going to throw you off. But if you were to take, and I've heard people do this, I can't sleep, so I'm taking melatonin every day. Well, that throws your body off because it throws it out of balance. You don't want to do just one thing like that, one nutrient. Or serotonin, they'll take just serotonin. You don't want to do that unless you're under the care of a doctor or a naturalist, because what they can do is order blood tests and see what your levels are and see where you are. So it's a good idea. Do it the easy way. Don't cost yourself money. Go out there, get in the sunlight, walk every day, and if you can't do 30 minutes in a stretch, do 10 or 15 at a time, you know, throughout the day. It's getting that sunlight is the best thing. Between 6 and 7 is the best, but get out there anyways, do what you can. And I know sometimes we get rain and whatnot, but you'll have enough the next day to carry you through. But even it's just sitting beside a sunny window will help also. I have done that because sometimes I can't get out. We have snow, and there's no way I'm getting in the snow with crutches. So what am I going to do? I sit in front of the sunny window, and that helps a lot because the sun will come down on the snow, and you can get something from that. My cats, every morning I wake up, they want me to go open the curtains so they can get in the sun. So I understand that. Anyways, the alfalfa tea will keep your blood sugar level, keeps the nutrients level, so that you don't, and your hormones, I mean, so that way you don't have ups and downs. And a lot of time people have problems sleeping because their blood sugar is dropping or it's getting too high in the night, or their hormones are a little out of balance. So alfalfa tea helps out with all of that kind of thing. So for me, I found it quite by accident, and I found it in a book by accident, and I started reading on it and looking it up, and that's how I found it. And I've been drinking it now for the past, oh goodness, 5 years or more, and I don't have any problems. And if I miss a night, I'm okay, but don't miss 2, because then I don't sleep. But it does help quite a bit. So it's something to think about if you want to try that. Anyways, that is pretty much our cooking school. Does anybody have any questions? Yes? I get it from, well, I was getting it from Lassen's. Traditional medicinals carry it. I found that Buddha tea was stronger, so I started using the Buddha tea. Now, I don't think I think that's just the name of the company. It's not like I'm supporting the Buddhists or anything like that, but they do have a stronger tea usually. Although I've noticed sometimes it's a little stronger, sometimes it's a little weaker. But for the most part, I do fine with that. And to get Buddha tea, what I do is I just ordered 12 boxes of it because they had a 30% off. So I went ahead and got 12 boxes. And I use one box will take me for 2 weeks. But it's something, it's not going to hurt me. And I'm getting nutrients and vitamins, and that's one thing I have a problem with this birth defect. I don't absorb my nutrients and vitamins, amino acids like I should be able to. And so the more I can get, the better off I am. And I stay pretty healthy that way. So, although I did get COVID, just like everybody else, so well, I'll have those ups and downs. But anyways, so anybody else have any more questions? Yeah.
Another question, but one very effective intervention too is blocking the light. Yeah. Cover your eyes with light blocking mask. It works, and it makes you sleep deeper because any light decreases your serotonin.
This is true.
So,
it's very true.
yeah.
I know we just moved into this house and we haven't gotten everything done yet. I still have boxes in my living room, and we moved in August last year. But in my bedroom, there is blinds, or wood blinds, and I don't have any curtain rods up or anything yet. And they don't even have a rod there, so the guy never had them there when he sold the house. So I have to go get a curtain rod. I have the curtains, I just haven't got the rod yet. And every morning, like on a Sunday, I want to sleep in a little bit, I can't because that light's coming through. So I understand that, yeah, the darker the better. Any other questions? Okay, thank you for coming. Appreciate that. And thank you for listening. And how was the food? It's okay? Everything's good. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. And thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next month, the fourth Sunday of the month. Bye-bye. Have a good evening.
Someone took my crutches. Oh, there. Ouch.